Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. Welcome back in our partner enablement video series. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to sell a AKS solution to a customer or what are the use case of running the AKS in the environment or what kind of problem AKS can solve to the customer, right? So this is something which we are going to talk about in this video. So here is the agenda of this video. So we're going to talk about what exactly is a Kubernetes is. We will going to look around what is inside view look like for the Kubernetes. We will be going to talk about the benefits, and then we will talk about why we need AKS or what kind of problem AKS is going to be solved. And then we're going to run through with the reference architecture, and we're going to understand few options like how to secure the networking, node and port scalabilities, high availabilities, and later on I'll going to show you how AKS looks like, how the component is there, and how you can do a scaling of an application inside of the AKS. Well, let's quickly start with the introduction. So, as we know, Kubernetes is originally developed by Google, right? And it's completely open source container orchestration platform designed to automatically deployment, scaling, management of containerized application, right? And in fact, the Kubernetes have established itself as a de facto standard for container orchestrations, and it's a flagship project on the cloud native computing foundation, backed by key players like Google, AWS, Microsoft, IBM, Intel, Cisco, Red Hat, so on. So, see, Kubernetes is completely a open source platform. You don't need to buy any kind of license to run this service. And what is the biggest advantage of having the Kubernetes is it's completely designed the way that can provide you to the automation, continuously deployment, continuously scaling, management of containerization application. And in fact, uh, the key players, like all the key players in the market, is using the Kubernetes to deploy the applications in the environment, because ultimately what happen with the Kubernetes, what you happen, you don't need to go with the situation like how you deploy application inside the server, right? In the Kubernetes, you just need a pod, or your pod will be going to only have the services which is only required to run the application. They are not going to have a bunch of other services in the Linux or in the Windows which is not required to run the application, right? So that is the Kubernetes. Kubernetes make the easy to deployment or operation in the applications in the micro architecture. Yes, because as what exactly the market micro service architecture is. So microservice architecture is segregation your applications components in a different uh, sections, so that you will be using that, or you will be putting that application, or the component of that application on the other service, so that it can be uh, you know manageable properly, it can have a scalability, right? And it's completely like this is how a Kubernetes work. It's just completely deploy all your application as the microservice architecture, right? And when you say the application modernization, Kubernetes is the one of the component which become so popular in terms of doing the app modernization and the application modernization, right? So with the Kubernetes, you can do the bunch of activities. You can control the resource consumption. You can easily spread the applications load across the multiple infrastructure, automatic deployment of all the applications. You don't need to worry about what exactly happening inside the backend. You just need to put your deployment, and AKS will be going to take care of all the configurations, deployments, everything, right? Monitoring the resources, limitations, that something will be taken care by the AKS. You don't need to worry about that, right? And moving the application from one node to another node, or between the nodes, recreating the ports. Since the port is immutable, you don't need to worry about it. You just have to publish your deployment, and as soon as your deployment is published, rest of the things will be taken care by the Kubernetes service, right? So these are the activities, or these are the some of the I can say the advantage, or the Kubernetes functionality which is there. Now let's look like how exactly a Kubernetes look like, right? So this is the architecture. So in Kubernetes, when we say a Kubernetes only, uh, there would be a master node and there would be a worker node. So your master node will be going to have all the deployments controllers and etcd. So with the master node, rest of the worker node will be taken care by or the managed by the Kubernetes. So whatever the configurations or application deployment which we are doing it through the YAML, which basically going to have a manifest file, that's something going to be deployed on the Kubernetes master node, and from there master node will be going to take care like your pods will be spread across the multiple nodes, and in case of any issue with the pod or in case of any scaling you have deployed or you have did in the deployment file, that happened in the backend on the all the pods across the environment, right? So that's how it's there. And in the backend there would be a one API server, or I can say is the API service, which will be going to allow a communication between master to the worker node. So whenever the master node publish the any deployment with the API, they will be going to communicate with the worker node, and then the work is finished, worker node will be going to respond back to the API. So that's how a basic functionality or basic communication happen between the master and the worker node. Now benefits, there are tons of benefits when we talk about the benefits, right? So it's completely agile application creation deployment. You no need to worried about uh, like how the scaling is going to be happen, how your pod will be going to react when they are got crashed, if there is any issues with the infrastructure with the pod, actually not the infrastructure, how the things going to be happen, continuously deployment, integration and deployment. So CI/CD is already there, you don't need to worry about it. Can be a continuously deployment and continuously integration is there. You do have a certain DevOps tools like Jenkins, Terraform, which you can basically integrate for CI/CD and the infrastructure as a code. DevOps can be used with the Kubernetes. So if you go with the any of the cloud like Azure, AWS, Google, they do have DevOps projects through which you can integrate this Kubernetes service, and you can push all of your codes or all of your images directly from the DevOps project, right? And then it do have a cloud and OS distribution portabilities. You can run bunch of uh, operating system like Ubuntu, Red Hat, Core OS, Windows, if you are running it on the on-premise. Windows will be only be available on the Azure specifically. If I'm talk about on on-premise, you would be able to take the advantage of all the Linux operating systems. Application centric management, so you don't need to, so it's completely a application centric management is there. Raise the level of abstractions from running on a OS, on a virtual hardware, to running an application on a OS using the logical resources. So application centric management simply is there. You don't need to worried about uh, what exactly is happening inside the AKS. You will be going to have a one single uh, console or maybe the command line from where you can manage. Second, you no need to have whole bunch of services which we eventually do with the server or with the VM running on a physical hardware, right? You just need these services which is only required to run the application. So that's the reason it's an application centric management. And resource isolations and resource utilization, so these are the benefits which is there for the AKS. So it's a bunch of I can say a bunch of good benefits which is there with the AKS, and that's allow you to use or run the application on the containerizations. Now why Kubernetes, right? So we talked about benefits, right? Now let's talk about why Kubernetes, right? So service discovery and load balancing, which is there. So it's completely do have a inbuilt service discovery and load balancing options. It can use a DNS to do the service discovery and do have a inbuilt load balancing features, which will be there to distribute the traffic across the application ports which is there in the backend. Storage orchestration, so it's completely storage orchestration is there, in which Kubernetes allow you to automatically mount a storage system of your choice, such as a local or a public provider. automatic rollout and rollback. This is again one of the good features. So what happen, let's say if you have deployed applications where your manifest file and the YAML file which is not correctly defined, right? So what you need to do, you no need to go ahead and delete the pod one by one, right? You just go there and delete your deployment. As soon as your deployment is deleted, your pod will be automatically get deleted. At the same time, if you're doing any update inside the deployment, right, that will be automatically will be get applied automatic bin pick bin. So there is a automatically bin is there. As soon as you delete it, your uh, port servers will be permanently deleted from the AKS, right? And with the automatic bin packing, you provide a Kubernetes with a cluster of node that can use the containerizations task. You can tell Kubernetes how much memory, how much CPU each container need. Kubernetes can fit the containerization onto your nodes to make the best use of your resources. So this is something which you can do with the YAML. So in the YAML, you can define what is the maximum CPU, or what is the minimum CPU, or how much CPU or how much memory is required for specific this application, and that's something will be taken care by the AKS. Self-healing, it's completely a self-healing. Kubernetes restart the container that's failed, replace the container, kill the container that don't respond to your user-defined health check, and does not advertise them to the client until they are served to ready to serve, right? So this is called a self-healing. It's completely a self-healed. You don't need to worry about your deployment is done, what is happening in the back end, your pod is not working. Everything will be taken care by the Kubernetes, like killing the container, deleting and recreating, replacing, everything will be taken care by them based on the deployment which you have submitted to the master node. Secret and configuration management, yes, that something is there. With the Kubernetes, you do have a option to manage and store your sensitive information such as a passwords or tokens as such key. You can deploy and update the secret with the application configuration without rebuilding your container image and without exposing the secrets into your stack configuration. So for this specific section, secret and configuration management, there is a specific section in the AKS, which is a Azure Kubernetes service. I'm going to show you how you can basically use that to store your or create your manage or your secret or configuration management. Now, we talked about what is a Kubernetes, how it looks like, what are the benefit, or why we Kubernetes. Now, what is the selling point, right? Why it's important for the customer. Now, before selling it, let's understand what is the business problem it's going to solve to the customer, right? I have seen, I mean, as per my experience, I have seen there's a customers who is okay to do the app modernization. They are okay to run their application on the containerizations, but they don't know how to start it, right? And how to do it. That's where a partner is. They need a partner who can help them to build the or design the infrastructure. So for that is something is basically from customer standpoint. Now your standpoint is going to be there, like how you sell it. So for the selling, you first need to understand how their application is, what kind of application they are using, are that application is capable to run on the containerizations, right? If they are using some kind of legacy applications which is a 2 year, not a 2 year actually, which is a 10 year or 20 year older. 20 years is the too much time. Let's take an example, 10 year or 5 year older, and that application is not capable to run on the containerizations. You would not be able to, or customer would not be able to run that on, and selling this Kubernetes to that kind of customer would be a kind of creating the bad reputation. Now you need to understand first, is their application is containerization ready, is their application can run on the container, is that application is 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 required any kind of re-platforming. uh, if that is a re-platforming, what kind of efforts customer need to put inside. If that don't require re-platforming, they just need to re-image it as a container image, what kind of efforts will be there to do it a re-platform. Because ultimately, once the Kubernetes has been done and they are okay to have the Kubernetes service, you need to think about, or your technical team need to be think about how the replatform is going to be happen, what kind of efforts that's required so that it can be seamlessly moved to the AKS. Right, so these are the some of the selling points. So first need to understand, again, first need to understand what kind of customer application is using. Is the legacy application? If it is a legacy application, is customer okay to build that application on new on with the latest platform? Now, if that is not a legacy application, is our application is capable with running on the Kubernetes? Is customer is okay to move it to the containerizations? Is there a developer team will be able to create the image and upload on the container? If that is done, you need to think about how you will be going to re-hosting of that applications. What kind of challenges is going to be there? How you are going to do the seamlessly so that there would be a minimum impact for replatforming the application to the Kubernetes. Now let's jump to the reference architecture. So in the reference architecture, we will be going to have the AKS. So I do have created a one separate video on AKS. That's a deep dive. If you really want to know, or if you want to go and see how uh, Kubernetes work, how the deployments happen, and the how you can go ahead and create the Kubernetes cluster in the customer environment, please do get and check out a link in the description. And the same way, if you really want to see the deep dive for Key Vault, Container Registry, Azure Bastion, Firewall, VPN, Load Balancer, or Application Gateway, we do have created a in-depth video for these components. There's a link in the description. Please go ahead and check it out. Now, in this architecture, what happening? You are having the Kubernetes cluster with the load balancer and the application gateway and the private link enabled for Key Vault and the container registry, and that is being paired with your hub network. In a hub network, you do have a firewall, bastion, and the gateway. With the firewall, you are managing your all of the communications uh, getting outside to the VNet, and at the same way with the subnet, you is sorry, not a subnet, sorry, bastion. You're managing the management of the Kubernetes. Again, it's just shown the bastion, but you need to have a one VM in the within an environment to use the bastion, because bastion doesn't give you the RDP servers. It just allow you to connect with the VM. It's give you the interface where from where you can connect with the VM. Now you do have a gateway which is connecting with the on premise. Now this is the one of the reference architecture which you can take as a reference, and you can develop your solution. So you can put your Kubernetes. Maybe customer really don't want to go with the hub and spoke, but I would always recommend or encourage you to have an hub and spoke in your solution design when you are pitching in, or if you are selling in, because with that one there would be a simply isolation would be there, right? So so this is how it looks like. You will be going to have application gateway to expose your application, which is also going to work as an ingress controller. And then you will be going to have a key vault to store your app credentials, although you do have a secret management inside the Kubernetes. But if you really don't want to go and you want to have a Azure Key Vault integrated, you can do that. Container registry is there to store or do the versioning of application images, right? So these are the basic components which will be going to there in your architecture when you're developing or selling a solution to the customer. So this as I told you, this architecture is completely have a hub and spoke topology. Secret management there will be used to, sorry, the segregation management will be there to have a basic uh, hub and spoke topology. But if customer is okay to go with the landing zone, or if they want to have a landing zone, your hub can be replaced by a landing zone and your AKS can be connected with the landing zone, right? Third, minimize direct exposure of the application, sorry, applications, not application actually, the Azure resources to the internet, right? In this case, how this is happening, because of you have a firewall, your exposure, your direct exposure to of your resources in to the internet is happening to the firewall, and by default firewall will be going to block all the traffic which is going outside, right, until unless you have allowed on the firewall, right? So there would be a separate hub and spoke topologies there, which can be which will be used in this design, and that can be later on expand in the future and provide the more spoke to be connected with the hub. So for the application, we have used application gateway with the WAF, which is going to be provide a layer 7 security. A natural choice of workload that span the multiple subscription make this architecture extendable. It can be extended any way. You can have a multiple AKS, multiple other workloads, multiple more spokes where you will be going to have a multiple Azure services being running. You can use that, right? Certain resources such as a firewall and DNS can be shared across the network. True. Again, if you're using the hub and spoke topology, or your hub have firewall and DNS, or I can say the bastion is there, you can basically share those across all of your spokes. So this is how your traffic flow will be going to look like. So that request will be going to come on application gateway. With the application gateway, it's going to be on the ingress controller, and ingress controller would be going to forward this to the backend workload. At the same time, you will be going to have a key vault which will be going to have credentials or certificates. An application gateway will be an application gateway, or an ingress controller will be going to pick the certificates from there to decrypt all the requests which is coming from the outside. This is how your secure flow is going to be happen. So you will be going to have two things. You will be going to have Azure firewall, or you will be going to have a WAF. So the firewall is going to use to all the request which has been initiated by cluster. Any kind of image pull, push, update related operations which has been done by a AKS cluster will be directly through the firewall, and any kind of application request directly coming from the user will be directly come on the application gateway which has WAF enabled. Now this is how again you can secure your network, right? In some cases, it's better to if you have a if you don't have Azure firewall, but you have a firewall which support a NAT, or maybe if your customer is using a F5 load balancer, or maybe you're using the any kind of NVAs like Fortinet, Cisco, Palo Alto, they can use that as well to do the uh, to expose the application and have a layer 7 security. Well, pod and node scalability. So scalability is pretty much straightforward. In AKS, for the nodes, you do have automatic scalability available, where it's going to be a horizontal scaling. So you will be going to have a multiple nodes will be getting added in your node pool. That's something you can enable. And whenever a node need to be increased or decreased, that will be automatically taken care by the AKS. And there is the two types of scaling which can be happen. So it can be automatic or it can be a manual. So manual, if you really want to go ahead and increase the node counts, you can go ahead and do that. But if you want to do it in an automatic way, you can do it in an automatic way as well. Availabilities. So we do have a two availability option inside the AKS. First, availability zone. So this will be going to allow you to deploy your application in the one region in a multiple data center. In this case, if one zone is available, your another zone will be there to serve your application. Second, which is the one of the most important and used, I can say, is the option by the organization is a multi-region deployment. Because let's take an example, you might have deployed in a zone, but that complete region is down due to some network outage, right? In that case, if you're deploying or spreading your deployment in two zones or three zones, that does not going to be make any sense for you in case of any outage or any disaster outage happen. With the multi-region deployment, what is going to be happen, you would be going to spread your deployment in two nearby regions, and that is also going to be solve your purpose in terms of having the disaster recovery, right? How in case of your primary region is goes down, there would be a secondary region up and running through which you can serve your applications, right? So these are the availability options inside the AKS, but you do have some of the recommendations when you are having the disaster recovery. Use the paired region. That's true, which is the one of the important, right? And you need to think about when you using the solution or developing a solution for the disaster recovery. Specifically, think about only the options, or think about only the components which is supported for the business continuity plan, and for which service which are supported for the geo applications, right? So these are the some of the recommendations. Let's quickly move to the demo. So oops, looks like I need to reload it. Okay, so I already have my AKS deployed, and if you see, this AKS is already having a namespace which is the ingress. And in this ingress, if you see, I do have a deployment. These are the two deployments. And in the back end, if you see, I do have a multiple ports running. For if I switch to the ingress only, these are the ports has been running there. And if I click this is my ingress controller, which and the IP, and if I click on it, it will be going to serve me the purpose and serve me the application. Now if let's say, see, let's take an example. Like if I go to the namespace where my application is deployed, which is the ingress dash basic, and I have only one node running for front and back and ingress, right? If I really want to increase the count of these ports, what I can do, I can go inside the deployment, and I can go to the YAML, and I can define how many replicas will need to be there, right? It's replica one. Let's say if I want to turn review, confirm, and save, right? As soon as this has been done, if you go back, you will be able to see more port has been coming for the application. It's going to be take a little bit of time, but this is how you happen. Second thing is, you can use Azure CLI as well to manage your all the deployments. So let's take an example. If I really want to, you know, to update the node count, sorry, the port count for all of this thing, what I can do, I simply need to go and connect with the AKS, right? And that's it. I need to just uh, use one of the file for which, let's say, I want to do it for hello world 2. So here I can define what is the replica going to be. I just need to specify this to 10, not 1, and that's it. And I need to apply the file, and that's it. As soon as the file has been submitted to the AKS, you will be going to see hello world 2 is going to be have a more no more ports running for this application. Now you simply switch to the namespace. Yep, this has been done. The hello world 2 has been created. Hello world 2 will be going to, you will be going to see a few more ports running in some time. At the same way, you do have a services. There's a two services. Services will be basically which is used to expose your applications, and you will see by default it's have a load balancing option. Ultimately, it's use the Azure load balancer there. But again, there's a two kind of load balancing. One is the front end, and one is the internal load balancing. So internal load balancing is happening automatically. You do have an option to see what kind of ingress you have, and second, you do have options to what kind of storage classes or the storage you want to add. So that's something you can do. And then as I told you, in the AKS, you do have a configuration mapping and the secret mapping. That's something which is already there, so you don't need to manage it in your application. You can simply add it by quick application, or you can add it by the YAML file, and you would be able to add your configuration secret inside the AKS, right? You will see now, as soon as your deployment has been submitted, you will be going to see more ports has been coming in, and so these are the ports has been coming in, and your application will be going to be scaled inside the port. Now, if you really want to do the scaling for your node pools, you need to go into node pools, and from here you can change your configurations, and you can add as much as ports you want to add. So you simply need not into here, you need to scale the ports. You can scale it to the maximum. Let's say I want to do the manual scaling, I want to go up to 5. That's it. Your node count node will be ready. You will be able to see a more node coming here for this for the cluster, and you do have an option to create a multiple node pools for based on kind of workload you are having. So maybe you are using some sort of graphic workloads, or if you are running any kind of heavy workload in which you specifically need a VM, Azure VM size, you can do that as well, and you can create your nodes. And as soon as the deployment has been submitted, it will be going to scale the nodes as per the configuration, and you can do use the auto scaling as well. That's it in the demo. I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos. Feel free to reach us if you have any questions. Thank you.